Tonight, 9 PM GMT over on the Omegon Plays channel and on Twitch, I will be streaming the new Washington DLC for American Truck Simulator, along with the Forest Machinery DLC. Hopefully we'll get some deliveries relevant. Also, over on the Moisky Reads channel, I uploaded on Friday but forgot to shill it. The Descendant. Link to both below. Now today I thought we'd address a video by Mastercard they put out on Twitter, because the video itself raises a number of questions about the legality of it, as well as many who believe this is nothing more than a glorified marketing ploy, considering Mastercard's track record with the LGBT community. This is quite impressive. Let's go with that. I'm being charitable. So let's dive right in.
Handing over my card makes me feel very anxious and nervous.
Makes you anxious? Okay, well, having seen the video, I know it's not because of a lack of funds, or that your online banking functions have been crashed, which happens quite a lot here with RBS, or because you aren't who you say you are, right? Okay, that one's a little more closer to the subject at hand. What I'm going to tell you now is basically a spoiler, where this basically is something simple, like wanting to use a chosen name instead of a legal name for something as important as one's personal accounts. I think it right now to give some advice. To get ahead of this now, would it not be easier to just legally change your name and get all the relevant paperwork updated, therefore negating the anxiety, or take some pills for it?
Just a total invalidation of my identity.
In before anyone else says this reeks of an attempt by a rather large company, whose motivations are still somewhat unclear, to water down a legal aspect so as to open up business for new customers that might be in some way transitioning depending on whether or not it is the physical through dysphoria or the other through the non-binary. Unless I'm mistaken, there are options available for those who wish to change their legal name so as to truly represent who they are. So why on earth this should be a thing for those who want to express is a mystery, unless, and I guess this isn't so much a mystery in hindsight, the intention is to be able to change your name, depending on your mood, over and over again.
I tried not to focus on that because it happens so often.
I used to have moments of anxiety and moments of panic.
It puts me in a place where I feel like I'm in danger.
I would not seek to denigrate your lived experience. I should be very clear on that. I'm not going to do that, but I am going to tell you that I believe it is entirely born out of irrationality. We have a legal system that protects identity from fraud. America is no different, implementing a number of statutes since 9/11 that protect people. So using a legal name on something as official as your bank details is quite important. Now, of course, it could be the case that the real name is tied to the actual account and it's simply something to show on the face of it with your identity, but your identity, no offense, isn't the most important part about protecting your money. In fact, your identity is not even secondary when it comes to protecting your money. There is a possibility I'm coming at this from the wrong way, but from how I see it, unless the system has two separate names, legal name and identifying name, identity being the one you choose, I'm not sure how this system could work for what they're going to propose in this video. I feel like I'm giving out a number of spoilers. Okay, I'm just going to give you the outright. Mastercard are trying to pitch the idea of having your identity name instead of your legal name on a bank card. Fascinating stuff, I know.
It just sucks every single time.
They look at it and they look at you, and they look at it and they look at you.
I'm going to pick up on the last one on that, because they do it when you do things like hand over your card for identification purposes, and they see your name. They do that for everyone. You are not an exception because of your identity. And in this instance, I mean identity, the perceived one as opposed to the legal one, which could be rectified by simply making the perceived a legal one. Everyone gets anxiety over that, even I do, when I show my driver's license. They look at the picture, look at me, look at the age, look at me. Because for the longest time, I looked far too young to be able to do something as simple as buy alcohol. Genetics were on my side at one point in my life.
Oh, is this actually you?
While it is an experience I would not want anyone from the LGBTQIA whatever it is else community to go through, I still have to restate, as it appears to be the key point, that you are not alone in this. Yes, it is certainly something that one must address, but I also believe one must take necessary steps depending on the context. If someone has yet to get around to legally changing their name, if they intend to, then they should do that as quick as they can. Until then, they must accept that they are who they say they are until they have changed who they say they are to who they want to be. Although it is worth noting, in this context, who they say they are is what they legally are. It is not an attack on one's identity. It is simply a way of protecting one's finances by ensuring that who they are and who they say they are is who they legally are.
Are you serious? Oh my god. Stop. That's so cool.
Okay, so now we have it. The true name card as it is being dubbed. Coming soon from Mastercard. A way of proudly presenting who you say you are as if that is who you legally are. And I have to restate the legal part over and over again for very many reasons. The perception of this, by the way, since it was first announced and this video was put up, is that it feels less like a solidarity with the LGBT community movement and more like a low-grade marketing campaign to get more customers, which is the point of a business, by doing the right thing as it is being perceived as the right thing for all the wrong reasons, which is where the whole capitalism part comes into it. I mean, after all, the whole point of a business is to make money. The next question, though, that comes up, other than how is it perceived, is can MasterCard even do this? No, they can't. Certainly not in America, because it violates anti-money laundering and anti-terrorism statutes that were put in place post 9/11, which sound like they shouldn't be relevant, but they are. Seriously. Identification is so important. I should also point out that while contactless is on the rise, which therefore negates the whole point of showing your card, sometimes the card is checked. Unless the real identification is also on the card, not just your identity but also who you legally are, the card will normally be taken, cut, and the local law enforcement will be notified. I do know that some transactions don't require ID, but I do know that in some circumstances one submits credit card information on paperwork for certain purchases, which would in hindsight negate the whole having to have a legal name because the name would only have to match the name on the card, unless they're asking for the account holder's name, and if that is not legal or legally changed to the cardholder name, there could be an issue that arises from that. There was in this video a complete lack of clarity as to whether or not this is done with legal name changes or if it is for expressive purposes, which I'm well aware sounds kind of vague, but I believe the majority of you are smart enough to understand why I don't believe this could work, because this reeks of fraud, or the potential for fraud to happen, and I'm not a fan of that. I don't think anyone is. I did notice some people on Twitter claiming that this is great, because while they themselves have legally changed their name, which means then their cards can also be changed anyway, they believe that this is raising awareness and visibility to their plight. It's also worth noting that over certain amounts of money, shops do check ID on purchases. That's store policy, to ensure that the transaction is being done by the person holding the card. Yes, there may be issues that arise from not presenting the correct ID. I will say that if the purpose of this was to drum up additional business, congratulations, you've done it well. Perhaps you'll offer a statement in the near future explaining the finer details that are missing from this video, because otherwise it just looks like pandering, and clarity is better than having nothing. An utterly vague statement of emptiness, simply saying you can put whatever name you want on a card, in which case I'm sure the rise in Attack Helicopter, Mr., Mrs., Doctor, Master, and Little Miss or Moose will certainly entertain the masses, along with Jedi Master and Big Dick Meg. Anyway, if I don't see you tonight over on the Omegon Plays channel, I hope you all have a lovely Tuesday, and thank you all for listening.